Karen. Thank you all for your testimony today, and of course, always recognize the incredible service that you have given our country. If I could start with you, Mr. Smith. It's very weird to not call you Sean, but I think what we've heard today and in all the testimony is that commemoration is a process of remembering our history, and also of valuing the service that people have given to our country. And so I thank you specifically for your testimony today. I know that you've worked a lot with youth, so I'm just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about, have you done a veterans presentation to youth, and if so, what do you do to make it memorable?
Well, thank you, Ms. MP Blaney. Yeah, you're right. It's weird. I've been part of the Memory Project with Historica Canada now for several years, and I quite often get invited to various schools in my area to make presentations. One in particular, I went to a middle school, and I waited until all the students were in the gym, and and I found out how many students there were. Made some quick calculations in my head. And then I said, okay, everybody stand up. And they all stood up. And I said, okay, you're the Royal Newfoundland Regiment, July 1st, 5 a.m. And then I had them all sit down except for the first 3 rows. And I said, you're the Newfoundland Regiment on roll call, July 2nd. 700 of the 800 men that went over the top that morning died or were wounded, and only 63 showed up the next morning for roll call. That impact, that visual, makes an impression on the students, makes an impression on the teachers, because words get lost, but visuals embed a memory in that moment. I know that when I went to Vimy Ridge on Remembrance Day 1990, I was one of only 4 Canadians there. The irony being is that the brigade had deployed for training to head to the Gulf War. So there I stand on a memorial on Remembrance Day, and we're off to war again. That memory is embedded in me forever because I lived it. And being able to share that memory with youth makes all the difference in the world. This is why I'm so eager to make sure that kids have the ability to meet veterans like myself, World War II veterans that are still with us. I know we have one locally, Carl. I hope will still be alive to make that final trip to the Netherlands to be recognized for the liberation. I like kids to meet Carl because he is a living embodiment of a moment in our history. And nobody can tell that history like a person who has lived that history. Like Mr. Windsor had mentioned, you can't talk about the Medak pocket and expect people to understand it. You need to have somebody who was at the Medak pocket to understand it. My buddies came back from that messed up. But they need to share that story. It's important. As you can tell.
Thank you. So, Sean, I am sorry to keep pushing you, but why do you think engaging our youth and working towards connecting them to the past will be so successful for their own future?
Well, the saying goes that those who forget their history are doomed to repeat it. And I don't think that sits any closer than looking at their youth today and having them not understand what that past really means. As Mr. Windsor pointed out, there's lots out there about World War I and World War II, but not anything substantial about Bosnia, Yugoslavia. Uh, Afghanistan is front and center because it was in the media all the time, but the individual aspects of Afghanistan are lost. They're still there. They're amongst us. They're amongst the veterans, and that's why uh, people like Al Cameron, who has veterans' voices, and he's recording all of these interviews with veterans, World War II, Korea, Afghanistan, Bosnia, Yugoslavia, Kosovo, Rwanda. These are all points in time that we still have a connection to because the people that are connected to it are still with us. We can't look at a written word and understand the emotion that goes behind. When I returned from Cyprus, a guy that I served with killed himself 6 months after we got back. People don't know how much of an impression that that has on us until they actually have an opportunity to speak to us. I want to get to a point in our lifetime where I can go into a school on Remembrance Day to talk about something and not have some kid come up to me saying, "Hey, did you kill anybody?" I never would have ever considered saying that to a veteran coming into my school when I was a kid because it was still very present in our mind.